Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. This is a ranked game between Tiptushi and SmuggledBrain. Nice to see SmuggledBrain. I'm hoping to assume that it's Brain Steel, one of the greatest players in the history of Supcom. Let's see how well he does. He goes first land, of course with Seraphim. If it was UEF, I'd be 100% sure. And here he's taking on Tiptushi's UEF. You can see also first land, a couple of P-gens. And while these players are making their first units, we can look at this map. Really, the biggest point of this map is that the biggest land masses here is what you want to take. This is not where you start, so you can't just build where you've started. It's really not too many mass extractors or anything there, so you got to expand very quickly to one of the sides. And usually, one single player can't take both of these sides, so you end up having one. There are multiple ways you can do it. Just walk over there with your ACU or engineers, or of course drops is the most common and most effective way. So you should see a second air from these two players. We can already see it planned for Smuggled, for Brain. You see the Hydro for Tiptushi. So we'll see transports, an early T1 air if you can deny expansions by either bombing the engineers that are just walking over. For example, this engineer walking to the middle. One big advantage with expanding with the ACU very quickly is that it walks underwater, and until Tech 2 you can't really spot it, so you can't bomb it, and you can't really know where the other player will expand. The middle is got quite a few, 6 mass extractors, a bunch of rocks spread out, and it could be very useful for early things like snipes and of course reconnaissance, but it's very difficult to hold on to in mid-game because of T2 air and of course Navy. These side bases have much more resources and much easier to hold on to. So you can choose to try to grab that early on if you want to dominate, but the sides are really the priority. One thing about the middle, of course, it's closer with the AC. If you get there first, going for a drop, you can get in a situation where you take one of these side bases with a drop in the middle with your ACU. Perhaps that's... nope. We see Tiptushi expanding to the top. The engineers expanding to the bottom for Splatted, and it looks like Splatted is just going to use his ACU as 2 engineers, which is a little strange. Now we see bombers coming up for him as well. We see engineer to the side here and ACU to the other side, and here comes a transport. You can see where Tiptushi is going to drop his units. So one thing about Tiptushi, he's played many more games in Forged Alliance forever than SmuggledBrain, so if this is Brain Steel, he will be at a bit of a disadvantage against Tiptushi. And here comes a bomber from Brain. This is some of the first action, nearly 5 minutes into the game. Both players being very defensive. See these pigeons are nice and spread, and that bomb won't do much. See 1 kill there for that stationary anti-air, and great advantage for Sera from floating already. Prevents an engineer going to the middle. So it looks like Brain Steel will take the middle. Successful drop from Tiptushi here. You can see first unit is onto air, then radar, and perhaps a few factories should follow. We see a drop from Smuggled here as well, so we're going to see a conflict here on the bottom landmass, and it looks like Tiptushi has made it to the side. He's just picking up some mass extractors, and there is an engineer here unchallenged for SmuggledBrain, so we're going to see a fight for both these land masses, and this is great to see. Mobile artillery here picking up a couple kills, killing mass extractors. Of course, frigate dominate. Yet another drop coming in from Tiptushi. Probably doesn't want to put it quite there, although he is winning air at the moment, Tech 1 air, and his engineers are getting factories up. More engineers for Smuggled, however, and Smuggled should know that there is something here. See, they just have that air fight. And we can see nice spread in these engineers. Of course, this floating arty could be very, very effective for Brain. See factories being built by Brain up on top. And so we see pretty even, although the middle is completely given up by Tiptushi. So it looks like he has decided that it is not worth taking at, because he will take that later. He really wants to put all of his drops and all his forces to take both of these sides. If you take both the sides and secure them, you basically have a huge eco advantage and you will win. And it looks like early on here Tiptushi getting a pretty big advantage here with these units that he's made from the single Tech 1 land factory. It's just purely tanks, although we're going to see 2 land factories are smuggled, so we may be able to get numbers pretty soon. And capturing mass extractor here from Tiptushi. Tiptushi being not very safe here. He could probably put a couple more factories, make sure he secures this area. This could be a mistake for him. Of course, also Tiptushi here, only a single factory. And another drop now coming in from SmuggledBrain, and looks like air dominance from Tiptushi. He's going to try to prevent any more drops coming in, but he was a little late. This is going to be a nice reinforcement. A couple more engineers. And it looks like an engineer from Tiptushi to the middle. He's going to capture some extractors. So Brain also neglecting middle. And these units going in one at a time from Tiptushi aren't having too much success. Big numbers for Brain here. Perhaps air will give Tiptushi enough recon to know that he needs more. Looks like he's making more point defenses, but he definitely needs more factories. That'll be big trouble for him very soon. And looks like a scout from Smuggled here, it's a transport, has spotted Tiptushi, and Tiptushi is making a lot of factories here, so he definitely looks like he's going to want to hold on to this area. He's got so many mass extractors here, it would be a shame to lose this. Then in terms of Navy, we see a frigate with 4 kills, a couple floating arties, and now submarine from SmuggledBrain. One thing about the sub 400 health, you have sub 600, so significantly weaker. But of course these frigates can't shoot back to 2000 health, but it will eventually die to this submarine. We see more frigates coming out from Tiptushi, absolutely no subs, yet another drop. Looks like finally he's going to try to take the middle. In terms of map control, definitely an advantage for Tiptushi. In terms of tech, we don't see any Tech 2 and a couple Tech 2 mask extractors for Brain, actually quite a few. So a lot of teching for Brain and quite a bit of teching for Tiptushi as well. And still Tech 1 power, absolutely no Tech 2 naval factories, one of them going to Tech 2. The other one just making frigates, absolutely no subs. Of course these two subs are going to dominate these. And here's, this is what is the eventual result of not making enough factories. Really inexcusable. Tiptushi got this area so early, but only has 2 land factories. Brain got here later, only working on his 5th, and now numbers advantage. And you see Tiptushi quickly losing these units. He's got an engineer here. He should be making factories and reinforcements, because he's about to lose these. And it looks like Brain choosing to go to this bottom landmass with his ACU. And now we're seeing these subs taking out frigates. And yet another drop here into the back, a couple tanks, kills an engineer. And really good work here for Brain, 4 factories, going for a 5th, quite a few units. Of course the ACU here for Tiptushi, getting an upgrade now. It will be very difficult for Brain to do anything against an ACU, and at the same time very difficult for Tiptushi to hold on to this now that Brain is in the area. Nice submarines, and here's a drop into the middle, a single engineer, but it'll be a single engineer versus 2 from Tiptushi. Tiptushi should do something about it, but it looks like Brain is paying attention while Tiptushi isn't. It's a hero engineer here, might just take the middle for him. A couple more engineers here for Brain as well, or for Tiptushi. Should capture that. We might see a bit of submarine versus frigate action, but Tech 1 torpedo launcher not being constructed by Tiptushi, that's very effective against submarines. And we are seeing T2 Navy with a destroyer. Still no T2 Navy, but definitely going for it here, Brain. And now a bit of a fight here. Definitely numbers for Brain. And if Brain starts moving, of course he'll run into this ACU. This ACU is at Tech 2. Looks like this engineer, after reclaiming those NGs from Tiptushi, is sort of stuck. Now we're seeing total disaster here for Tiptushi. 2 Tech 2 mass extractors are just going to be ran over. And looks like Tiptushi, that doesn't make sense to upgrade these if you're just going to completely give this up. How Brain might just crawl himself back into this game. He did have a pretty big deficit early on in terms of eco, in terms of map control, and you can see that earlier T2 Navy from Tiptushi. But some mistakes here from Tiptushi just might let Brain back into the game. A lot of dead units here to reclaim for SmuggledBrain. Looks like he has paused all production here. He doesn't really need any more units. He's going to spam as much as he can in this area. And it looks like a big air fight now. First big air fight of the game. And you can see the micro here. Brain definitely knows exactly what he's doing. It's going to have a huge advantage against Tiptushi, whose planes are just patrolling. Although it looks like Tiptushi had a lot more. I see a couple of anti-air flags here. And somehow Tiptushi actually won that, so big numbers advantage. Tiptushi getting a T2 power. Pretty nice force. It'll take a lot to break all that from Brain. So Brain really hoping to hold on to this top area, even though the ACU from Tiptushi is there. Absolutely no struggling here from Tiptushi. Completely ran over, and a lot of nice chunks of mass left for Brain to pick up. In terms of naval, though, you can see the middle belong to Tiptushi. That's an extra 6 max ejectors. Hard to hold on to, but if there's no challenge, it's might as well have them. And a pretty big T2 naval squadron. Now we see a cruiser, a destroyer, a shield, quite a few frigates, and still just a few subs for a few subs, a destroyer and a cruiser. Of course, no shields for Sera until Tech 3 land. So you have definitely has an advantage Tech 2, and of course at Tech 3 does have battle cruisers. See, it looks like 4 transports here for Tiptushi. He's probably thinking of a massive drop. He definitely has the units to do it. Power storage for Tiptushi, and perhaps a T2 point defense creep here. It might be a little expensive, given those T2 point defenses can't do nothing afterwards. But it'll be a very effective way to take back this land area for Tiptushi. And here's this battle. You see the destroyer from Sera moving in. It's got nice torpedoes. Of course, you can always dip down whenever it wants. And one thing about this destroyer from EAF, it's really bad at torpedoes, so these submarines might actually be very effective. And now we see still Tech 2, another destroyer coming out for Tiptushi. Torpedo boats really underused by EAF players. Really needs to start building those. And here's 5 gunships from Tiptushi, so it looks like he's gonna do an assault both on land as well as air. And perhaps Brain's still thinking that he will not be able to hold on, has paused all production and is evacuating engineers. You see those gunships together with this land. And not too much struggling, although we see a massive air force coming in from SmuggledBrain. Will try to snipe these gunships. It's about 1,000 mass flying in the air right now. A few supporting aircraft from Tiptushi, but massive numbers advantage for Brain. Tiptushi now making onto air turrets. He is in a bit of danger if his ACU is there and he loses air, although he probably shouldn't. He's got pretty good numbers. He will lose it, but not too many numbers left for Brain. So the way this looks like, it will be very even. The middle is getting hit by a Navy, so he can't really hold on to it. The bottom is going to belong completely to Brain, who is taking his time taking these mass extractors. And the top is going to belong to Tiptushi. In terms of eco, though, quite a few Tech 2 mass extractors for Brain. It looks like almost every single one is at Tech 2 at his starting position. And it looks like every single one is like Tech 2 for Tiptushi is working on gunships. Another Tech 2 power. And a whole bunch of shields now for Tiptushi. That's really the advantage against Seraphim. You can see in terms of Navy, SmuggledBrain has been much more aggressive. We see 3 destroyers. And one thing about these, they can always get underwater and use their advantage against EAF. And these destroyers, here's a drop. 4 transports can do quite a bit of damage if they're not stopped. Another destroyer coming out for Brain, and looks like he will be able to successfully drop these. Take out quite a few T2 mass extractors, and this is a disadvantage for Seraphim. They can't shoot over high ledges. Of course, you can't dodge them, unlike other destroyers, but you can hide behind walls and things like that. A nice Tech 1 point defense here from SmuggledBrain to prevent any more damage. And our gunships versus destroyers. This is great timing from Tiptushi. The drop at the same time as attacking these ships with destroyers. Looks like he killed one of them. But air reinforcements for Brain, and looks like yet another air fight is coming up. And it'd be very hard to call. So one thing about these destroyers, they don't have any anti-air, unlike some of the other factions. It looks like yet another destroyer. So this 4 transport drop from Tiptushi has taken out 4 T2 mass extractors, and of course forced SmuggledBrain from making some point defenses. 12 kills in this one. Tech 3 Navy now from Tiptushi. He's making a few T3 engineers, and of course T3 submarines from Sera will be very powerful. You can see a whole bunch of mass here for Tiptushi. It's going to be a huge advantage, a very good victory for Tiptushi. And Brain's still taking his time. He's finally going to get this mass extractor like 5 minutes after he's won that. And the ACU for Brain coming back to starting position. Medal totally belongs to Tiptushi here at minute 20. And just out of curiosity, Tiptushi now reclaimed a total of 5,000 plus 2,000 power, and smuggled 3,400 plus 1,000 power. So you see a big advantage in terms of eco for Tiptushi, and he's going to get quite a bit more with this reclaim. In terms of Navy, we see a whole bunch of shield boats. So Tiptushi understands UEF Navy in terms of shields, which is a good way to go. But of course, this is the most powerful unit for Navy currently. The battle cruiser is really dominating, given that in FAF you can build those much faster than people were able to before. But here's the best submarine in the game. So we're going to see battle cruisers versus T3 submarines. And of course UEF can make the torpedo boats to counter these, and together with the shields, not much hope for the Seraphim. Some of these tanks still alive. We're seeing still basically Tech 1 air spam here, and T3 Navy for Tiptushi. Got quite a bit of eco. T3 actually going T3 with quite a few of these mass extractors. So a lot of teching in Tech 3 Navy. Not too much teching here on this landmass from Brain. He's trying to recover. And actually these tanks causing trouble. T3 engineer making short work of that tank. We gotta say Tiptushi has been much quicker in retaking what he's won than Brain Steel. Has been a big difference. The middle is pretty much abandoned. Actually another Tech 2 mass extractor, a very difficult one to defend, and perhaps we'll see a naval fight here. It looks like the EF Tiptushi is pushing. This is a very powerful force. We see these T3 submarines, very long range, very powerful torpedoes. If they can get underneath the shields, together with all these destroyers, big trouble for the UEF player. He's got to be making, unexcusable not to have that factory making torpedo boats right now. Very cheap and very effective. You can see this battle cruiser can't really do much. T2 torpedo launchers. It's a really good idea at this point, but yeah, if Tiptushi gets a couple T2 torpedo launchers, it'll be a nice counter. Although this is just way too many units. A single one won't do much. And I can see those engineers wiped out. They couldn't even do much. A T3 sonar from a UEF has torpedoes, but not enough. But now it appears that the counter that Tiptushi has chosen is torpedo bombers, which are always really nice. If you can hold on to air, you always have an option against Navy with torpedo bombers, and looks like it's going to be a win for Tiptushi in terms of numbers. But big trouble now for Tiptushi. He's got a single Tech 2 torpedo launcher. Looks like Brain is trying to target this factory. It'd be nice to target these shield boats first, and then take out all those engineers. And we're seeing Tech 2 torpedo launchers being spammed very hard here. And it looks like Brain's still deciding to retreat, given that he has got to fight against all these torpedo bombers. Probably a good idea. You don't want to leave too many wrecks for Tiptushi. So another huge victory for Tiptushi after naval battle. So many big wrecks. This is one reason that turtling strats, especially in naval battles, very advantageous for Forge Alliance Forever. Because if you lose a naval battle, you give your enemy a huge advantage. Looks like some scouts now for SmuggledBrain, looking at where Tiptushi's ACU is, who is making a whole bunch of shields for himself. Very safe and a lot of T2 power. He needs a lot of T2 power if he wants to keep those shields going. So one thing about these submarines, when they surface like they just did, they have an excellent anti-air weapon. You can see they're just knocking the Tech 1 air out of the air. Good work. Excellent weapon there from Sera. You can see each one of these 11 kills for one, 14 for the other. Destroyers have a little less. More torpedo submarines coming out for Brain now. We see T3 mass extractor straight away for Brain. And yet another drop, a Tech 2 drop now from Tiptushi, but right next to the ACU. The ACU should be able to take care of this, no problem. Although at least a single T2 mass extractor has been destroyed. And now it looks like some bombers coming in from SmuggledBrain. T2 Seraphim bombers, excellent weapons, but of course against that many shields it will not have any effect. It's a bit of a desperation move perhaps from Brain. That's very surprising. Still has quite a bit of the map, and this is very sad to see. Very expensive units just getting slaughtered by air. We're seeing the advantages of winning air at any stage of the game, especially at Tech 2. You got tools to attack anything land or air or underneath the sea. So there goes that submarine. More submarines on the way for SmuggledBrain. So very well played for Tiptushi. Played very safe, but really took what he wanted. So put his ACU here. I knew he was going to take the stop side. Could have taken the bottom as well, but looks like he didn't want to risk it. Put too much eco here, so he just gave it up. Let Brain expend resources to take it back, and took the stop back with some T2 air as well as land spam. And then with his Tech 3 Navy with his superior eco was able to get Tech 3 Navy, and now has such a huge advantage that it'll be very difficult for SmuggledBrain to come back. So very well played strategically there from Tiptushi. He's also now working on a whole bunch of gunships, so dominating Navy and air is definitely what you want to do once you get the advantage in terms of early eco. You don't want to just win one of those, because if you just have the Navy and no air, there's always possibilities. Like we just saw, he could have just lost the Navy if those torpedo bombers didn't come out and save him. Now we're seeing the T2 bombers from Sera getting slaughtered. Brain now getting an upgrade. Perhaps he's also got a T2 transport, so perhaps he can get some powerful upgrades like nano and the gun, perhaps the missile launcher, and drop off the ACU directly by Tiptushi's ACU and try to assassinate him. And this is just a lack of respect there from Tiptushi. Drops right next to the ACU once again, and it looks like, yeah, this is the nano. So Brain definitely thinking about doing a drop. He definitely needs to get out of here, because there's a T3 Navy coming in, and a single submarine definitely won't do much, especially when it gets killed by a whole bunch of torpedo bombers. So this base will be dead very soon. I just missed this, a massive gunship assault squad here. Yet another one coming in from Tiptushi, just wiping out this whole bottom base. So Navy taking out the main base, gunships taking out the bottom. We see Tech 1 flak really has no chance against this many gunships. So the only hope for Brain Steel is to get into this transport and not get killed, which is going to be very difficult given all these interceptors above him. They really, if he was just slightly quicker before this Navy got here, he could have dropped on Tiptushi. You actually realized this and put a shield in his ACU, so he would have survived. This many shield in T2 PD, so see, Tiptushi is thinking, he understands. If SmuggledBrain goes all in, he'd have a very tough battle. But now we're seeing the battle cruiser versus the ACU, and not much hope now for Brain Steel. We've got the gunship moving in here as well. Looks like they've been completely finished, and Brain Steel throws in the towel. So a very good game where we see the experience from Tiptushi given the victory. It'd be nice to see SmuggledBrain keep playing. He's an excellent player.